Hi, 7th graders. Today we're here to learn about the argument essay. So let's get into it. So the argument usually has 5 important parts. So I say usually because as you go through different English classes in your life, there could be a couple of different ways you write an argument, but this is a good, solid way to create an argument essay. So, to begin, the argument essay should start with the introduction. By the way, the essay will end up with several small paragraphs, somewhere between 4 to 6, maybe even 7 small paragraphs, and it all starts with the introduction. So the introduction has something called a hook. The hook is meant to grab the reader's attention, and it's meant to make the reader want to keep reading. It can be a surprising fact about this topic. It could be a rhetorical question or a series of rhetorical questions that you pose to the reader, or even just general background information on the topic. The topic should be controversial and debatable, and so you could just give a few background details about the debate or the topic that's going on in the argument. Another part of the introduction is your thesis statement. The thesis statement is your position on the debatable or controversial topic. Think of it as a yes or no, for or against. Keep it simple. You are either on one side of the debate or you're on the other. Once you choose this side, stick with it. There should be no floundering back and forth because that would weaken your argument. So choose a side, stick with the side, and state it in your introduction. So these two things together will combine to make a pretty decent introduction, a hook and a thesis statement. So next up are the claims. And I say claims with an S because you do need to have more than one claim. So claims are your reasons for the position you're arguing. So if you said no, or you said against, or you said you disagree, then the claims are all the reasons for this position. You should have 2 or 3 claims. That's ideal. And each claim should have some proof to back it up. And this is usually from a text source. So if you were reading, this is where you would go back to the text to support your claims or give reasons for your claims. Each claim would turn into a short paragraph. And so if you had 2 claims, you would have 2 short paragraphs. So moving on, the next part of the argument is the counterclaim. The counterclaim is giving you a chance to acknowledge the opposing or the opposite side. So if you said no, then you're going to spend a tiny bit of time bringing up the yes side. But don't slip into arguing for yes side. That would be a mistake. That would weaken your argument. You only bring up the opposing side just to prove that your side is better. You're bringing up the opposing side just to say, yeah, I know it's there. I know there's another opinion, but it's weaker than mine. So you just bring it up to smack it down. So moving right along, right after the counterclaim, you will need something called a rebuttal. The rebuttal, just think of this as a big but. Not that kind. It's a way of saying, yeah, I know there's another side, but my side is better. That's why we call it a rebuttal. So what do you do in a rebuttal? You need to state proof from the text or some other source that shows and proves that the counterclaim is weaker. So you can say it's weaker, that's fine, but you're still going to have to provide some different text support to show that it is weaker. Not just your word for it, but now you give some text reference, some research reference to back you up. Basically, you want to convince readers that the other side is wrong, not just because you said it, but because you proved it. That's what the rebuttal is for. So when you combine the counterclaim and the rebuttal, this will turn into another small paragraph. So you would have your claim paragraphs, and then you would have another paragraph that contains your counterclaim and your rebuttal together. So that would be an additional paragraph. So, like any good essay, an argument essay needs a conclusion. So, this is basically signaling to the reader that you are ending your argument. You can't just stop writing. Like, just don't stop writing. That would seem incomplete. You need to take the time to wrap things up with some final thoughts. Maybe restate your position. Maybe restate your claims. One interesting way to end is by making a prediction or promise related to the position that you argued, or some type of summary statement. But you just don't want to stop flat by just stop writing. You have to find a way to wrap it up. So let's review everything. An argument must have 5 basic parts. You're going to start off with a good introduction with your hook and your thesis statement. Moving on, you're going to make sure you have 2 to 3 claims. Each one of those claims would turn into a claim paragraph. Moving on, you're going to make sure you include a counterclaim. The counterclaim is your way of addressing the opposing side. After that, you would have a rebuttal. The rebuttal is your way of showing that that opposite side is definitely weaker. And to round everything out, you would end with a good conclusion to signal the reader that you are finished. So, it's time to write. Bye, 7th graders.